Welcome to r/slash Tales from Tech Support, where a woman tries to get OP to send her printer ink through email. I get paid $12 an hour to sit at a desk in the library all day just so tech support doesn't have to deal with non-existent problems from students and staff. I call it the common sense desk because every question I get is dumb. My primary interactions are from students or professors who say, "The printer's broken." I go to the printer. The printer says, "Confirm print job?" I press OK. The printer prints. I also would like to note that there's a sign on the printer that says, "Press OK to print." I think it's kind of hilarious and deeply sad that IT had to hire people for this position from 6 in the morning to 2 a.m. But boy, oh boy, do I have an endless amount of tales. Then, down in the comments, we have a similar story from Codefire. A number of years back, I was doing some contract programming work for a college and their IT department told me about a recently departed student worker in their main library computer lab. The lab had a full-time tech, but one of the tedious parts of his job involved logging the desktops out when students left. This allowed the imaging software to reload the system for the next user, eliminates viruses, protects student security and privacy, etc. It was literally a 15-second job, 10 of which involved walking to the computer, but in a busy 200-computer lab, it was a constant distraction. So they hired another tech just to do that single job. Walk to the computer, log out the user, walk away. The new student lab tech was a CS major who quickly became bored with his task. So he wrote a cool little utility that used the webcams and an idle monitor to detect when a student left a workstation. This notified another simple control application he installed on his desktop at the front of the lab. When the notification popped up, he'd look up to verify that the student was leaving and click one button to trigger the logout remotely. He no longer had to get up from his desk to log the computers out. The main lab tech loved the idea, asked for the source code, and forwarded it on to techs in some of the other labs around campus. His manager laid him off the following week. His job was now automated and his services were no longer needed. The kid never even got paid for the program. It was a work product and belonged to the college. Welcome to our boring dystopia. Our next Reddit post is from Oriku. Whenever a user puts in a ticket about their computer being slow, the first thing I do is check the uptime. 9 times out of 10, there's a system uptime, on Windows 7 at that, of well over 40 days, and a reboot clears up all their problems. Occasionally, a user argues about this, and today was one of those days. This particular user was one of our regional directors, so not really anyone I could report her to for her completely terrible behavior because the VP that oversees them is just as bad, but whatever. I got a sysadmin job offer from a different company yesterday and I'm putting in my notice tomorrow, so I honestly don't even care at this point. As I was explaining to her that we recommend rebooting computers once every 7 days just as a maintenance thing, she interrupts me with, No, do not even tell me to reboot the computer. I shut it down every single night." Okay, we also commonly see users who think logging off is rebooting or turning off the monitor is shutting the computer off. And none of the computers are all in one, so it's not an iMac case where there could be confusion as to the difference between the screen and the computer itself. I tell her Windows is reporting an uptime of 41 days, 19 hours, 52 minutes. "Well, the computer is lying because I literally shut it down every night." Okay, sure. Let's pretend the operating system is lying and trying to make you look bad. I'll play along. I asked her to walk me through how she shuts the computer down, as I was remoted onto the system. One big, heavy, pretty sure she was rolling her eyes at me sigh later, and I get, "There, I shut it down." The computer is still on. If it were off, I'd have been disconnected. I can still move around and open programs. The computer is definitely not shut down. "Yes, it is. The screen is black." "Did you press the button on the monitor?" "That's how you shut a computer down. Are you new?" No, I'm not new. I've been doing jobs like this since 1997. I've also been in the position at my soon-to-be former employer for just over a year, so definitely not new. I try to explain to her the difference between a computer and a monitor, and she argues with me for a good 5 minutes about how I'm wrong. Okay, well, let's move on. Let me walk you through how IT recommends shutting a computer down. She agrees along with a snide comment about how we're always telling them to do things incorrectly somehow. Whatever. With her watching, I walk her step by step through just rebooting her computer and add in, if you want to turn it off, click on shutdown instead of restart. Mostly, I didn't want to shut it down because I wasn't entirely confident I could convince her to push the power button on the tower to turn it back on, and she'd have lost her mind thinking I broke the computer somehow. That should be it, but nah, I'm not that lucky today. Instead, she flips and starts yelling at me about how I broke the computers because Windows went away. And now there's this black screen with all kinds of words, just the post screen, and how she'd be talking to the IT director and the CIO if I got her documents deleted. Mid freak out at me, the computer finishes rebooting and drops her back at the Windows logon screen. After she logged in, I showed her the system uptime again, which was now reporting about 3 minutes. Oh. No apology for being fantastically incorrect or yelling at me about it because why would she want to do that? And of course, it was running fine after a reboot. The IT director threw out the 1-star review she gave me, trying to state that I was rude to her and acted like she didn't know how to use a computer, primarily because he overheard my half of the conversation. Lady, maybe the reason why he acted like you didn't know how to use a computer was because you have no idea how to use a computer. Our next Reddit post is from Oriku. Printer will not print. When I open the front cover, it gives an error saying to close the front cover. That's it. That's the entire ticket. I call thinking maybe she forgot to put a few words in there or something. Nope. I ask her what she's trying to do. Print. Okay, fair. I walked right into that one. What happens when you try to print? Nothing. I ask her if the computer or the program she's trying to print from give any errors or messages. Nope. I ask her if the printer makes any sort of noises when she sends a print job, grinding, whirring, beeping, or if it shows any status messages on the display. It says close front cover. Okay, is the front cover open? Yes. Close it. I need to change the ink. That would have been a useful thing to put in the ticket or tell me, but alright, I probably should have somehow thought to ask, okay, change the ink, then close the front cover. Oh, there isn't any ink. I just ordered it from Staples today, but I need it to print. Right. Okay, well, maybe the cartridges are just low and not empty, and we can get it going even if it'll be lower quality. I ask her if the cartridges are empty or just low. I don't know. I threw them out because the printer said they were almost empty. Alright, well, without ink cartridges at all, the printer isn't going to print even if you close the front door. If you get the cartridges out of the trash, we can put them back in and see if we can get it printing with whatever ink is left. I'm not digging around in the dumpster for them. Fair, I wouldn't either. I explain again that without ink cartridges, the printer will not print because an inkjet printer requires ink to print. Well, I need to print off the weekly billing reports this afternoon. Then you'll need to go to a local store and pick up some ink cartridges. Can't you just remote onto my computer and fix it? Listen. If I could manifest physical things by remotely connecting to a computer, I wouldn't be doing this job because I would probably be a reclusive billionaire that would never have to have these kinds of conversations. She asked to speak to a supervisor when I told her no because the customer is always right. Happily for me, we have just me here on Friday afternoon, so she got no and you're not right in this case as her answer, which I'm sure I'll get yelled at for on Monday, but I also put in my notice today, so I mean, they can't really fire me when I've already resigned, and if they want to tell me to just not come in anymore and give me a 2-week vacation before my new job starts, I'm okay with that. Close the ticket out with, user removed ink cartridges from printer and threw them away. Printer will not be functional until user replaces the ink cartridges. Down in the comments, Simpo says it best. The car won't move without gas. But I need to go to my grandma's house. Can you send me some gas by email, please? And I have to say, if computers could magically materialize things to you over the internet, then Pornhub would be a lot more interesting. Our next Reddit post is from Puke Forest. Backstory, I'm one of only 2 IT professionals at over a dozen building facilities with over 1,000 endpoints. Naturally, they smash every IT position into one role. We issue multi-factor authentication devices to management and some senior staff so they can do their work off-site. Once the handoff of the device is complete, our responsibility ends and the user has a packet with all the data to get them up and going. A separate remote team for multi-factor authentication exists exclusively for support of these devices. This has been protocol for years. I clock in and find a nasty email from director number 1 sitting in my inbox this morning about how unacceptable and unbelievable that one of their staff couldn't log in from home this weekend due to the user's multi-factor authentication device not functioning correctly for months. This is the first we've heard of this issue. This director has been in their position for over 10 years. My response, which I CC'd to all the directors: all support of these devices is handled by the MFA team as stated when the devices are issued. We have neither the tools nor the ability to help in this matter. In the future, please have the user contact MFA team at a certain number as explicitly stated in the documentation. 30 minutes later, I'm called into Director 1's office. Director 1 and 2 other directors, Director 2 and Director 3, start arguing with me why I didn't solve the issue. I say, all support for these devices is handled by the external MFA team. A user can call the number provided for support. As I said, we don't have the tools to do this. Director 2 says, "Why won't you help, user? Aren't you IT? Can't you solve simple problems?" All support for these devices is handled by the "Would you just do your job?" That's exactly my point. OP isn't helping the user with this. I'm going to issue a corrective action plan and will report this incident to HR. What is it exactly you need me to do? Picture 3 directors cursing and pointing at me for nearly 10 minutes. I'm talking walls are vibrating with their screams. Other directors in the hall close their doors as I'm getting verbally clobbered. I stare through the wall. My anxiety is through the roof. Insult after insult about work performance, how this is typical of how shoddy we are as IT professionals. Finally, the user in question comes to the door. Do your dang job and get the user set up. I'm visibly shaking at this point, stunned. Breathing heavily, I manage to walk over to the director's desk phone. On speakerphone, I proceed to dial the offsite MFA's team number. A voice comes on the line. "Hello, this is MFA, can I help you?" I motion to the user to introduce themselves and speak about their issue. About 90 seconds later, the user can log in. Tested, works perfectly. Everyone is silent and staring at me. I shake my head disgustedly and leave. Directors 1, 2, and 3 have avoided eye contact with me all day. So before I became a YouTuber, I worked at a big, bloated corporate company, and I scrolled through the comments, and Camera Dude knows exactly what's really going on here. He writes, "There has to be some story behind why 3 directors are so angry about an unreported tech issue. Here's one scenario. The user is involved in a project important to these directors, but he's been missing deadlines. The user blames IT for a non-working MFA device for the delays when the truth is either laziness or incompetence. As usual in a poorly run company, IT gets the shaft over an issue that is directly the fault of a user for failing to follow directions and/or seek help. Why did it take months to inform anyone of a non-working device? Based on my experience working for a big corporation, this is 100% what happened." Our next Reddit post is from the Lightning Count. "This is a tale of network admins, system admins, developers, and InfoSec bros who all tried to flex for a C-suite and ended up falling on their butts. No need for epic tales today. No embellishments, no dramatic pauses. Today, I'm simply going to retell the tale of how my brain got flipped right upside down. Bright and early at 8 a.m., a request comes in to have the paper replaced in a multifunction printer. Now, why the person didn't just replace it themselves, that's beneath them. Well, anywho, someone else in the office replaced the paper with one from the counter. Problem solved, so I closed the ticket. 30 minutes ago, a ticket was directly assigned to me and I was told to resolve the issue. At 8:32 a.m., a C-suite sent out an email to IT All email group that her printer was suddenly printing strange characters. Every single paper she printed had the same strange characters. At 8:42, notes were left in the ticket by the VP over IT that he redid the printer drivers and reinstalled Citrix onto her machine. It still happened. At 9:03 a.m., the C-suite responded back that several people in the office were reporting the same issue. Strange characters on the print job. At 9:12, the desk side team reported that they replaced the laptop unit for the C-suite person as a test and it failed. At 9:35, the system admin reported that he had gone in and verified that there was nothing malicious in the network connection. At 10 a.m., the ticket was forwarded to purchasing to have their printer replaced. A purchase order was prepared and sent off for authorization to the CIO. He took one look at it and decided to work on the printer himself. At 11:32 a.m., the ticket was forwarded to the Citrix engineers team to see what was wrong with the Citrix server. Everyone was printing the same strange characters, and it must be an issue with the Citrix environment. At 12:05, a note was left by a Citrix engineer who reported that the Citrix environment is not causing it. They printed to another printer in the building, and it didn't print the special characters they're seeing. He forwarded back to purchasing. At 12:45, it was forwarded to the CIO, who instantly forwarded onto the support team. It was auto-assigned to me by my boss, who told me to just get it fixed. No reason to replace an over $1,000 printer over something like this. I emailed one of the people and asked them to email me back a picture of what the special characters look like. At 1:09 p.m., an audible, "Oh my god," can be heard from my desk. I get up and walk into the printer room and see the head of purchasing and the CIO both discussing the printer. It's an expensive printer, and they don't want to replace it if they don't have to. One of the network admins is in there talking with the system admin, who looked at me and tries to shoo me away. "We got it." "Clearly you don't," escaped my mouth before I realized I said it out loud. I suppress the panic attack as everyone is looking at me now. I walk over to the printer and open tray 1. I pull out the paper that has the festive borders of streamers, ribbons, fireworks, and hot dogs around the edges. "This is the leftover party paper from the 4th of July office bash," I said as I laid the paper on the counter. I pulled a fresh ream of paper from the stack on the right of the printer and loaded it in. Everyone in the room just quietly walked out without a word and went back to their desks and offices. I closed the ticket with the notes. Someone replaced the normal paper with the leftover party paper from the 4th of July bash. Closing. How do these people look at pictures of hot dogs and fireworks and not realize that it was part of a paper border? Are corporate bigwigs so out of touch that they can't recognize party paper? That was r/TalesFromTechSupport, and this is r/Puppy Bloopers. If I could manifest physical things by remotely connecting to a computer... You go, what do you want? You want some pets? You want some pets? You want some pets? If I could manifest physical... Dog. Dog. What do you want? Pupper. What do you want, pupper? Yes? Can I help you? You're so cute. You're so cute. I gotta work though, bud. I gotta work. In those puppy dog eyes. I can't resist. I can't resist. Come cuddle. Come cuddle. Come here. Come cuddle. Come on. Come here. Oh, you're too big for me to pick up like this. Dog. I need cooperation. Oh. 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 Dog, you made it. You made it up. Okay. Oh god, you're so big now. Puppy dog. Puppy dog. My puppy. My puppy. Alright, buddy. I gotta get back to work. Gotta pay the bills, man. Gotta buy you dog food. You wouldn't understand what it's like to work. Pay taxes. Pay bills. All you know what it's like is to choose shoes. Alright, get down. Puppy. At 8:42, dog. At 8:42, dog. You're killing me here. I can't just pet you on demand, you know? I've got things to do. You act like priority number 1 is pets. I can't always be like that, bud. You're very high on the priority list, but right now I gotta work, okay? He took one look at it at 12:45, dog. At 12:45, it was forwarded. No reason to replace an over.